It was taking me like 30 minutes fiddling with the reed just to get it to play how I wanted it to play, and I don't like that. Hi Saxo friends, Cajun here, the Sax Habit Coach, and welcome to Tech Tuesdays. Now on a Tuesday, I do tech tutorials or I do product or accessory reviews just for the saxophone. Now today we're talking about your reeds. What kind of reeds should you use? Now before we go on, if it's your first time here, hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell to be notified whenever I upload a new video on this channel. So from my experience, I've been playing cane reeds for the longest while, and you know that cane reeds have been around for the longest while. I have 3 boxes of reeds here. As you can see, I have one signature Legere reed for Alto, I have a box of Vandoren, and I have a box of La Voz by Didario. When you open your Legere reed, you can see how it is packaged. This is already a case here for me to carry the reed in. Cane reeds, for example, they come in these little plastic encasements that after you would have taken them out, they are useless. Okay, and I spoke about this in a previous video. I'll link it in the cards above why you don't want to use this, because it's not going to keep the reeds safe. They're only for packaging and for transporting the reeds safely to you. After you would have taken it out, it's no good. Okay, so go watch that video to find how you should store your reeds after you would have started using them. So we're going to look at a few points between the synthetic reed and the cane reeds, and I'm going to give 1 point to each reed. First thing we're going to talk about is playability. When you take out a cane reed out of a box, can you just play it right away and it just sound good without making any adjustments? Chances are no. Okay? Now, out of every box of 10 reeds that you buy for your cane reeds, you're going to have to throw away about 3. That's your money down the drain. On the other hand, when you buy a synthetic reed, which is more expensive, of course, once you take this thing out of its case and put it on your mouthpiece, you can play it right away. So that's 1 point there for our Legere reed. That's 0 for cane reeds. What about sound quality? Now, I must say, one of the things that I appreciate about cane reeds, it has a roundness to the sound that I am yet to experience with the synthetic reeds. It could just be me, right? And needing more time to really explore with it. But for that, I am going to give the cane reeds 1 point, and I am also going to give the Legere reeds 1 point, because after a while they do begin to sound round, but I still think the cane reeds have that depth of sound to it that I've not yet experienced with the Legere reeds. Now, what about consistency? Now, when it comes to cane reeds, once the temperature changes, the reed has lots of problems. Okay, if the time is too cold or the time is too hot, the weather changes, then you're going to have a hard time dealing with the cane reeds. Another problem that I find with the cane reeds is that they have a tendency to warp. So it means that at the tip here, it is going to warp after a while, and then it causes your sound to be muffled, or you just don't sound good on the horn. The Legere reeds, whether it's hot, whether it's cold, it doesn't warp. And then you can see the case here that it comes in. It is protected. Unlike these, you cannot store your cane reed in these little plastic encasements that they come in, because it will warp. You have to put it in a reed holder which has a stronger grip at the tip of the reed. Additionally, you'll find that it is easy for these reeds to break. You cannot touch the tip of your reeds too much, these cane reeds too much, or else it will break. You have to handle them like you're handling eggs, okay? They're very fragile. With its counterpart, though, the Legere reeds, you don't have to worry about them breaking. They don't break. I've never had a broken Legere reed. No matter how I handle it, it will not break. All right, so it won't warp. Another thing about the cane reeds is that whenever you play them, you have to wet them. the Legere reeds, you don't have to do that. So for that, I am also going to give Legere another point and 0 for the cane reeds. What about the breaking in period? To break in a cane reed, it takes quite a bit of time. And so what I usually do is that I have 2 or 3 of them that I rotate. So one is for playing my covers while I'm breaking in another one, right? So when that one is broken in and it is married to the mouthpiece, when a reed is married to the mouthpiece and the saxophone, it is the sweetest reed you could ever play on, all right? So the breaking in period I have found for the cane, between the cane reeds and the synthetic reeds, is that the cane reeds take a longer time to break in. On the other hand, the Legere reeds, you can begin playing the same day and get that effect right away on your horn. The next thing we're going to look at is the setup time. How long does it take to set up your mouthpiece with your reed? A challenge I've always had, and that's why you see me with so many reeds, is that I was playing Legere and then there was this edginess that I was getting from it that I wasn't getting from my cane reeds, and so I stopped using Legere for a while and went back to the cane reeds, and then after a while I stopped using the cane reeds and went back to Legere reeds because it was taking me like 30 minutes fiddling with the reed just to get it to play how I wanted it to play, and I don't like that. It takes too much time. With the Legere reed, I just stuck it on the mouthpiece, put the horn in my mouth, and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to play. But with the cane reeds, it takes me a long time to figure out the placement, to find one that is really working well. But the Legere reeds, once you find your size, because they come in various sizes, size 2, size 2.25, 2.5, and so on. Once you find the size that works best for you, presently I use a size 2, which is in comparison to the cane reed that is like a size 2.5. Right? And once I stick this on my mouthpiece, I'm ready to go. For that reason, again, I am going to give Legere 1 point, and that is going to be 0 for the cane reeds. What about the cost? This is where it gets a bit interesting, because as it relates to your cane reeds, you can get a box of 10 for roughly about $30, while you get a single Legere reed for $30. So you can see on one spectrum you're getting 10, but on the other side you're getting 1 for the same price. But when you think about it in the long run, which one do you think is more expensive? Because if every box of 10 that I buy, I have to throw away 3, that means I'm only getting 7. While when I buy one of these, I'm not throwing it away. And when I think about the longevity of the synthetic reeds over a long period of time, one of these could last you anywhere between 4 to 6 months, depending on how much you are playing on it. While the cane reeds on the opposite spectrum is not going to last you more than a month and a half into 2 months, depending on how much you're playing on that reed. And I usually play them in rotations. It's where your money goes. Yeah. So for me, the synthetic reeds, I'd rather pay the $30 up front, and I know it's going to last me for 6 months, rather than buy a box with 10 and I have to throw away 3, and then I have the problem of fiddling to find the right one out of those 7 to play. So for that, I am also going to give Legere 1 point. So after we would have tallied the points right here, ta-da! The Legere reeds are number 1 for me on my list. And if you're a beginner saxophone player, I would suggest, it's my suggestion, that you start with the Legere reeds, because it's going to ease your frustration. Cane reeds, they are beautiful reeds, and I still love my cane reeds. I don't hate them. I love my cane reeds. But when it comes to consistency and ease of access, I prefer the Legere reeds, because it's not going to take me more than a couple seconds or a minute to set it up and get going on my horn. While with the cane reeds, they're going to warp, they're easily broken, they have a tendency to break easily, and they're just more complicated to deal with. Now, I'll leave the links in the description below where you can grab your Legere reeds. And again, you want to find out the size that best suits you, whether it is a size 2 at 2.25 or a 2.5 or so forth. And once you've found your size, then you are all set. You are all good to go. So which is better? In my opinion, it's not a better or worse scenario, because it's like comparing oranges to apples. It's two different materials, right? One is made from synthetic material or plastic, while the other comes from the earth, which is just wood or cane, right? So I am not saying this is worse and this is better, but what I have found that works best for me are the Legere. So if you have not tried them before, give them a shot, right? And go grab your Legere reeds today. I'll leave the links below. And as always, guys, push play until something happens. Peace.